be yelling at people. He'd be yelling at students, yelling, and then he saw me one time, and he said, and he was yelling at me. He said, "You need to go back up there and get on that radio." He's like, "BJ, let me tell you something. You can talk to your students like that, but you will not talk to me like that. I ain't dealing with that." And he said after he had that conversation with BJ, he'd be walking through the corridors, because BJ had his radio broadcasted right out of his home. BJ had a Victorian mansion, and it's still there now. And he bought the mansion, I think, for like $17,000. It's right next to the school. And so you'd have BJ's school, and if you've been to Palm, it's really cool. And then you'd have this space in between called A Little Bit of Heaven, and that's where he had the botanical gardens, and he had the first Buddha ever brought into this country from when he used to travel in the Orient. It's really amazing. And he has some Hindu statues, and before David kind of got rid of everything, he used to give tours, and people would pay all this money, come from around the world to tour this botanical garden. It was really amazing. And there was this little hallway you went through where you got all these rocks from around the Mississippi and put it into the wall, and he called that purgatory, going into A Little Bit of Heaven, and had these amazing pictures, you know. But what happened was BJ played many instruments by ear, and he had what do they call an organ put in, and he actually paid more for the organ than he did for the house. He paid $75,000 for the organ, and he had the pipes put in, huge pipes, in front of the house, so now you couldn't even see the house anymore. But to this day, the only person that can play that organ is BJ, because it was tuned to his ear, so, you know. But he broadcasted one of his radio programs from the house, and the guy said, you know, after that conversation, when I'd be walking, you know, to go and play, BJ be out there yelling at some kid for doing something, and then he'd see me go, "Oh, hey, Stan, how you doing?" Then he'd go back to yelling at the kid. "Ah!" He said, so when Reggie met him, Reggie Gold, BJ was pretty banged up. And you know, the profession, it was hard on him. BJ was always committed to doing better, always improving, something I call candy. I didn't call it that, I'm a plagiarist, I got that from Tony Robbins. Constant and never-ending improvement. And so, in like 1923, BJ said, okay, every chiropractor out there who doesn't use this instrument is mixing. And it was an instrument that was made by a young engineer that was in chiropractic school named Dawson Evans. And then in 1930, well, first it was like 1910 with the X-rays, and then in 1923 with the NCM, and then 1930 is when BJ went to upper cervical, and BJ said, if you're not doing upper cervical, you're mixing, and that was about the time BJ sort of lost his authority over the whole profession. Now, from 1930 to 1935, you know, BJ did a lot of upper cervical work, and from like 1935 to 1951 is when he opened up the research clinic. And I think, and if I'm not mistaken, the book of Volume 18 came out in 1935. But he had already switched from the knee chest position to the side posture. No big deal, people fight over that kind of stuff a lot, but I don't think it's any big deal. So BJ was real banged up, and when Reggie Gold had met him, and I'm not sure if it was the late 50s or early 60s, you know, Reggie was an upper cervical guy. At this point in time, Reggie and BJ, they would talk a little bit. But you know, when Reggie, and I was talking with Reggie about this, and if you ever met Reggie, he had a great British accent and just a wonderful, charismatic, great philosopher and human being. He'd say, you know what, I started to wonder why people weren't always getting well. And of course, we all graduated Palmer. We thought, you know, as long as you weren't subluxated, you cut off your arm would grow back, you could breathe underwater, because everything was about vertebral subluxations. One cause, one cure. The whole in one, W-H-O-L-E. Everything was in this one area. But then there was too many inconsistencies, because I was bodybuilding back then, and I realized if I eat junk, I don't look good. If I eat good, I perform better and I look better. So obviously, eating has something to do with body's performance, health, strength, and things of that nature. And then Fred Barge was alive at that time, and Fred used to say things like, well, if eating had anything to do with how well your body performed, homeless people would be dead in 2 years. And my reply to thinking about it, homeless people typically aren't the pinnacle of health. So just because you're not dead doesn't mean that you're expressing life to the fullest and performing at your highest levels. People can smoke for 100 years, and the resiliency of their body, they can still live to 100 years, but I think what we would agree, they didn't live the best life possible. Under all circumstances, smoking is not good for you. I don't think that's a reach to say. So, Renzi came up with an idea that maybe vertebral subluxations aren't the cause of all disease. Maybe vertebral subluxations are just really bad. But it doesn't sound sexy. Because people want sexy. And I've been working for the past 20 years to make that message sexy. Okay?
What do you got?
I got it. I got something. I got something. And, you know, I love to study neuro-linguistic programming, communication. I love to study human dynamics because I want to reach people. I want to reach people and penetrate them in a way that changes their lives. Tony Robbins talks about this. There's two things that you have when working with people. You have depth and brevity. We all live in a certain physiological state. Mine's overwhelmingly happy and excited, and I perform to the best of my abilities in almost every situation. I don't care what's going on, I don't care what's happened, I can change my physiology right that to be focused, ready, and to give a great performance. In fact, those people who can do that are called leaders, you know. Scott and I, we work together, and there are times that I would call him up and say, hey Scott, listen, something happened, I guess I'm coming, I'll call you back. And he'd be like, he would get so frustrated. And then he'd hang up the phone because I'm leaving him on edge. And then finally he would like call me like a couple of days later and say, you know, dude, when you leave me on edge, that's like me calling you and saying, hey dude, I just saw your wife making out with some guy in the park. I gotta go, I'll call you back. That still makes me laugh, it's so funny. So,
yeah, I'll call you right back.
Yeah. First of all, when you're talking about the amount of people you can affect, okay, brevity. Can I, first of all, change my physiology in a second, okay? And then can I do something to 2 or 3 or 4 people and change their physiology and how they look at the world? Can I do that to one person? I'm a great coach. Can I do that to 3, 4 people? I am a great manager. Can I do that to countless people? Thousands and thousands and thousands? Then, you know, I am a great leader. And can I do that to people without even being in the room? And create a following. Now I created a culture. It's my goal in chiropractic. I want my communities to have a chiropractic culture. So you know a lot of chiropractors, when you go and work for them, you get assigned radius clauses and other nonsense. Not me. I want you to open up across the street. I want you to open up down the road. Because I want the idea of not seeing a chiropractor 2, 3 times a week to be absurd. And I understand I can't do that on my own. Maybe they don't like bald people, short people. Maybe they don't like my voice, but they're going to like somebody else's voice. Howie's down the road. Blythe is in the next town over. Hal is the next town over. And these are people that I'm involved with and interact with to help get them to where I am and further. That's brevity. Depth is, 1, can you change your own physiology at the drop of a hat? 2, can I change somebody's physiology for the moment? Somebody comes in, they hear what you got to say, they get excited. 3rd level, can I change somebody's physiology and reshape how they look at the whole world? Now you get a person who comes into chiropractic for the rest of their life. You're going to have a lot of people in about the 1 or 2 category that you can change them for a moment, you know, and then you can then you know you have that maybe that 20% that you can change how they look at the world, and they're going to come in to see you for the rest of their life. And then of those people, you're going to get into the 1 or 2% that you're getting them to do that same thing to other people. You've changed them that now they're going and influencing other people, and those people typically are the ones that go on to become chiropractors. So usually I'm about a 3-3, that I can influence a whole group of thousands and thousands of people at one time and change their physiology and empower them and take them to another level. and I can penetrate them to the point to where they see the world in a slightly different way, and they stay in a more positive physiology, they're more optimistic, they see more opportunity, and they understand that opportunity equals adversity and work. You see? And that's how you've got to understand your job is going to be when you go to your communities and you practice with that purpose. But you've got to have a definition of how you define chiropractic. Because let me tell you something. This world's going to beat you up. And it's going to beat you up bad. And the very people you're going to help are some of the people that are going to challenge you the most. And if you don't have a purpose driving you, you're going to be dead in the water. I've never questioned chiropractic was the right career for me. But I've been beat up a lot. I've been told by other chiropractors if they could get away with killing me, I'd already be dead. Set the bar too high. Make people too mad. Now, have I made all the right choices? No. Have I worked a little bit too many hours? Yeah. Have I sacrificed a lot financially? Yes, that's what leaders do. Past kidney stones, balloon discs. Not only do I have 3 offices with departments, they're home offices, I also have a gym where we play jiu-jitsu and boxing and MMA. I also have, I have rental pump, but I want to get out of that. I speak. I blew a disc a couple years ago in my hand. I still can't straighten it out. I lost total function of this hand. Had to modify my adjusting skills. I just happen to be really freaking good at what I do. So you figure out a way. Now people say, well, how did you blow your hand? And I always thought it was funny because I went the medical route, and for some reason, they're like, you're a chiropractor, you shouldn't have any problems. I'm like, I train with the top athletes in my community. They throw me around like a rag doll. I wasn't getting as much sleep as I should. I see hundreds and hundreds of people a week. I'm just as human as anybody else. But in my mind, yeah, I'm a superhero. I understand that, and I project that. And so when I couldn't, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I couldn't hold a pen. You can see where, you know,
Yeah.
you guys in your anatomy classes, you can see to where it's coming back, you know, but it's coming. Couldn't hold a pen. Couldn't open up the car door. People ask me, hey, how's that going? Great, fantastic! Because that was the only alternative. I'm not going to let something like this define me or change my physiology. My son would say, hey, Dad, when's that hand going to get well? I'm like, I wish I knew, son. That'd be awesome, you know? But people, to me, I'm a superhero. I'm somebody that's not supposed to get hurt. You push, you push, you push. Guess what? Things get hurt. Even Tom Brady had to sit out a season because he hurt his knee. It's called life. It's called being human. It's called humility. That's it. And the fact that people don't look at it that way means I'm doing my job. They come into my office to get amazing care and have one of the best experiences of their life. And that's all that it's about. Doesn't matter what I have going on. Doesn't matter what my personal life is like. What matters is right there, right then, has been the moment I've been training for my whole life. 100% present time consciousness to give one of the most important services I've ever heard of in my life, which is the correction of vertebral subluxations for a better expression of life. We're the only ones doing it, and we can't wait to throw it away. So-and-so's going to steal it. They're going to steal it. What? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We need to care. So when chiropractors want to do a whole bunch of different things, what that sets off to me is like, you don't see the value of correcting vertebral subluxations. Vertebral subluxations are unbelievably bad. Nobody else is trained to do it. They're destroying lives. And do you know this? I don't care what else you do in life. If you're not seeing a chiropractor on a regular basis and you're living with vertebral subluxations, your body's never going to perform to its highest potential. More important than what you eat is what your body absorbs from what you eat. And guess what? If you have vertebral subluxations, you're not absorbing all those nutrients. I can't live with that. Question. Does anybody here agree that vertebral subluxations under every circumstance are always bad?
Yeah.
Does anybody here think otherwise? Go ahead.